Episode 16 of 19. Last time we met in this territory, way back in episode 4 of 19, we torched every inherited meaning and stood in the ashes going, so what? A good percentage of listeners, naturally, thought, cool, now I'm on fire and have no idea what to do with the heat. This episode is not another match. It is the blueprint. Same fire, new job. Stop waving it around, scaring people, and start forging steel. These bonus or second layer episodes go deeper into the terrain only a few of us are willing to walk. Episode 16, this episode, revisits one of the most jarring insights. Meaning is a lie. But now it rebuilds from the ashes. Not with fantasy, with fire-forged authorship. Meaning is a Lie, Part 2. How to build your own sacred architecture. When the illusions die, what do you choose to worship? So let's go through this Lighthouse framework that we've developed. So first, the signal, or right where it hurts. The old meanings died. Religion, fame, marriage, success. You finally saw right through them. And what's left? Well, silence. But silence isn't nihilism. It's simply the blank page. So here's the question no one wants to ask. If you know meaning isn't real, what are you willing to build anyway? Now let's look into the mirror. The ache behind the awareness. You did not want to be this awake. You just wanted something true. But now that the myths have burned off, the scaffolding is gone. You realize that all meaning was a choice. And without choosing, you drift. You perform awareness. You taste bitterness. But you don't anchor. An unanchored awareness, it is just unspoken despair. So let's get into the uncomfortable reality of this. No one is coming to hand you a new framework. And if you're waiting for the world to reveal meaning, you are still outsourcing your agency. The truth is brutal. Meaning isn't found, it is built. And sacredness doesn't really exist until you make it so. Let's get into sovereignty, the radical authorship. This is your sacred architecture. You choose the pillars. You choose what's holy. You choose the code you live by. Not because it's objectively real, but because it resonates deep enough to burn clean through you. You are not here to find purpose. You are here to forge purpose. And lastly, the gritty invitation. Stop waiting for a revelation. You are the revelation. Now pick up the hammer and build something worthy of the flame that you carry. So let's get into this more, starting with section 1. Why meaning fails us. Most of us never chose our meaning. We inherited it. Career equals worth. Romance equals salvation. Nation equals identity. Achievement equals safety. We didn't sit down and consent to these beliefs. We absorbed them by proximity. Family, school, media, religion, algorithms. Momentum did the rest. And momentum is powerful. It keeps the lights on. It gives the illusion of direction. It rewards compliance with predictability. So most people never ask the question. They just keep moving. Then something breaks the spell. Loss, burnout, betrayal, a quiet morning where the old goals suddenly feel hollow. The wallpaper peels. and the script glitches. And that's when deconstruction shows up. You see the seams. You realize there is no absolute meaning, no cosmic scorecard, no guaranteed payoff for obedience. Awareness opens the void. That part is real, and it is necessary. But here is the part nobody prepares you for. Seeing through meaning does not automatically give you something better. It just removes the scaffolding. Some people stand there and call that freedom. Others feel the vertigo immediately. Without a chosen structure, the nervous system does not relax. It drifts. It hunts. It looks for substitutes. The void itself is not the problem. Staying unbuilt inside it is the problem. Section 2. The difference between performance and creation. There is a version of awareness that never leaves the observation deck. It critiques. It points. It dissects. It smirks. It knows all the reasons things are false, corrupt, constructed, illusory. And it never risks building anything of its own. That is performance. Performative awareness says, "Look how clearly I see." But it never asks, "What am I willing to stand for?" It feels safer to stay uncommitted to anything. If nothing is sacred, nothing can disappoint you. If nothing matters, nothing can fail. But that's not freedom. It is avoidance with a vocabulary. Creation is different. Creation happens when you already know the universe is indifferent and you still choose to act as if something deserves your care. Not because it's guaranteed, not because it's eternal, but because you chose it deliberately. This is the shift from observer to architect. One stays clean by never touching the materials. The other gets dirty building something that might collapse. But only one of them gets to live inside what they made. Section 3. Sacred architecture as a practice. Sacred architecture is not a belief system. It is a practice. It starts with choosing values that cost you something. Not slogans, not aesthetic virtues, values that make your throat tighten when you say them out loud. Truth that risks approval. Depth that risks comfort. Craft that risks applause. Solitude that risks being misunderstood. Pick a few, fewer than you want. Too many is just hedging. Then, you build rituals. Not productivity hacks, rituals. Repeated actions that teach your nervous system what actually matters here. Daily, weekly, seasonal. Things your body recognizes as non-negotiable. This is how meaning becomes lived instead of argued. Then comes mythology. Not fantasy, but narrative. What do you serve? What do you protect? What would make the suffering worth it even if no one noticed? And finally, language. Words you return to, moments you repeat, sentences that orient you when everything else goes quiet. This is not spirituality borrowed from a shelf. This is authorship. Section 4. The lie of authenticity without structure. A lot of people flinch at the word structure, for good reason. Structure was used to cage them. Religion, institutions, families that confused control with care. So now structure feels like danger. But here's the correction. Structure imposed on you feels like prison. Structure chosen by you feels like bones. Try living without a skeleton and see how free you actually feel. Human beings need containers. Without them, we spill everywhere, emotionally, behaviorally, and certainly existentially. The problem was never structure. The problem was who got to design the structure. Sacred architecture is self-constructed structure, flexible, revisable, alive. Not rigid dogma, sacred scaffolding. You are allowed to rebuild it when it stops fitting. You are not allowed to pretend you don't need it at all. Section 5. What do you choose to worship? Everyone worships something. Worship just means what you sacrifice for. It could be attention, it could be money, it could be being right, it could be love, it could be legacy, it could be pain turned into identity, it could be the quiet high of being the most awake person in the room. The real question is not whether you worship. It is whether what you worship was chosen or inherited. Default worship shrinks the world to the size of your wound. Chosen worship expands you until the wound becomes weather. You will kneel somewhere. That part is unavoidable. The only sovereignty you have is deciding where you place the altar. Choose something that does not require you to betray yourself to maintain it. Section 6. How to know it's working. You won't know this is working by certainty. You will know it by stability. Life still hurts. Life will always hurt at some point. Chaos still happens. The news is still loud. People still disappoint you. But you are not unmoored. You stop chasing validation for your path because the meaning is baked into the doing. You feel it in your body before you can even defend it with your words. You can hold paradox without splitting apart. The universe is indifferent, and this moment still feels worth showing up for. Your rituals feel sacred not because they are mystical, but because they are yours. And the deepest signal, you become willing to be misunderstood without panicking. When you can lose the palatable version of yourself and still sleep at night, the structure is finally load-bearing. Section 7. Final words. From collapse to creation. Look, the old meanings failed you. Good. They were never designed for who you actually are. Let them burn. But don't confuse demolition with liberation. Ashes are not a home. If nothing matters by default, then responsibility becomes very radical. You don't get to wait for permission anymore. You don't get to outsource authorship. You choose what deserves your effort. You choose what gets protected. You choose what you refuse to betray, even when no one is watching. That choice is not given to you. It is claimed. So pick up the hammer. Lay the first stone knowing, hey, it may crack. Carve your name in it anyway. Not because it's eternal, not because it's guaranteed, but because you decided to live as if your hands matter. Every day, on purpose. This is not belief. This is authorship.